Sowore will not get more than 100,000 votes in 2027. Who wants to bet? 100,000 votes. If he gets more than 100,000 votes, I'm ready to drop 10 million naira. Who wants to bet? And the reason he will get up to 100,000 votes is because of pity. He will get sympathy votes. A lot of Nigerian youths that see the work that he has done in rescuing or freeing citizens of Nigeria that have been detained. So he is more of an activist material than a president material. Now, that does not mean that he will not do well as president. But as it is right now, Sowore is better off teaming up with Peter Obi than going it alone. Why am I saying this at this time? Today, the African Action Congress, AAC, which is Sowore's party, is conducting its presidential primaries or their primaries. And of course, guess who is going to come out as the presidential candidate of AAC? Omoyele Sowore. Omoyele Sowore. Guess what he will do once he comes out of that primaries? The first thing he will do is to attack Peter Obi. Then he will attack Tinubu. His campaign is all about attacks. I want to beg all obedient and all Kwankwasians. If Sowore attacks Peter Obi, please don't reply him. He needs attention. I think he deserves the attention. He has tried, sincerely speaking, in terms of human rights activism. Sowore has really tried. Sowore has tried fighting for our democracy. He has tried. We must give him his flowers. But also, we must let Sowore know that if he decides to go into the 2027 elections alone, without coalition with the OK ticket, he's not going to get more than 100,000 votes. Even that 100,000, I'm being generous. If you look at his track records, in 2019, he got 33,000 votes, almost 34,000 votes in 2019. And out of about 70 candidates at that time, he was number 7th. He tried. But from 2019 to 2023, he lost political capital. He lost political goodwill. Many people became uncomfortable with his brand of politics. He began to rub many Nigerians the wrong way. Yes, he was doing good things, but then the perception of Sowore is not just that of a presidential material. I'm sorry, he's a wonderful person. I've spoken with him a couple of times, I think once or twice. So he will do well to support a Peter Obi if he wants to really make impact. And if he wants Nigeria to be a country that respects the rule of law, so that he doesn't frequently engage in all these his protests. So if you know him, you're close to him, tell him he's better off teaming up with Peter Obi. We can understand, I can understand that he has had to attack Peter Obi for the attention up till now. But now that the battle for tickets are gone, I was hoping, personally, and I did a video about it, that Peter Obi would call Sowore and use AAC as a party to get his ticket. I was hoping that. But now that that did not happen, there's no point attacking Peter Obi anymore, Sowore. No point. He has gone to NDC, he has got a ticket there. you are in the AAC, you have got a ticket. So right now, it will be good for you to team up with him to work together to kick out Tinubu from Aso Rock in 2027. Just my 2 cents. When you take a look at the African Democratic Congress, there's a lot of trouble in there. I had hoped that, remember the Federal High Court judgment that nullified INEC's timetable? I had hoped that that nullification had given or will give a new lease of life to the African Democratic Congress, ADC. I had hoped that. But it looks like there's no lease of life anywhere for African Democratic Congress. It looks like that. Even though the youth party that was reported to have filed that suit has come out to deny it. So we don't know where that judgment even stands right now. Perhaps, like the youth party people said, that they will contest or they will apply to set aside that judgment. Perhaps at that time, whoever it is that actually filed that suit will appear. So, if that suit does not stand, it means that the deadlines of May 30, 2026 will still apply to the African Democratic Congress. And that will mean that Atiku will be in a lot of trouble. Even as it is, if the judgment that nullified INEC's timetable still stands, or even if it still stands and extends that deadline to September, Atiku and Rotimi Amaechi will still be in a very dicey position. They will still be in a very dicey position because right now, David Mark cannot organize a valid convention. He cannot organize a valid convention. The Justice Joyce Abdul Malik's judgment nullified his congresses and thereby his convention. Recall that this same Dumebi Kachiku that has been chosen by the state's chairman went to court to file a suit to stop David Mark from going or carrying out that convention. And he got that order, but David Mark violated that court order, still went ahead and did the convention. At that time, Peter Obi was still in ADC. Because of that violation of the court order, I'm thinking Justice Joyce Abdul Malik now gave another order that empowered the state's chairman and nullified the congresses and convention that David Mark conducted. At that point, if that judgment stands, I hear that judgment has been appealed now. It's in the Court of Appeal. David Mark has appealed that judgment. But if that judgment stands, like I suspect it will stand, what it will mean is that ADC cannot participate in the 2027 election. That's what it will mean. So all of these gra-gra that Atiku and Rotimi Amaechi are doing will just be in vain. Because here's the crux of the matter. If the youth party court order or judgment that nullifies the INEC timetable is overturned, it will mean that the May 30 deadline still stands. And if that is true, it will mean that David Mark will no longer have the required 21 days notice to give to INEC to conduct new congresses first, from the ward level, local government, state up. They will not be able to, because by this time, the tenure of the local government have expired. So he will need to conduct new congresses first. Then from the congresses of local ward to local government, he will now elect new state chairmen. Then, after he does that, he will now have to call for a national convention. The newly appointed ESCOs from the ward to the local government to the state will then come to the national convention to elect or ratify a national chairman, then that national chairman will then carry out or organize a primaries that will throw up a presidential candidate. That's the process if they respected the court orders. But of course, nobody's respecting court orders these days. Not APC, definitely not Atiku and David Mark in the ADC. So in all of this, it's still looking like all of the efforts of Atiku will be in vain. Abi? But something more critical is this, which is why I think that African Democratic Congress will not participate in the 2027 election. As it is now, NDC has zoned their presidential candidate to the south, and that is Peter Obi. AAC to the south, that is Omoyele Sowore. Prince Adebayo is SDP's candidate. Who else again? You have Dumebi Kachiku. Well, let's not put Dumebi Kachiku into it. APC is Tinubu. These are all candidates from the south. If somehow David Mark's faction of ADC succeeds and they get all the court orders resolved in time, it means that David Mark could do what he did for Atiku in 2023 when he worked for Atiku against Wike, and then give Atiku the ticket again. And that would mean that Atiku will be the only dominant northern politician that is contesting for this. Now, that is risky for Tinubu, because Tinubu is hoping that somehow they can bulldoze their way through, that APC can spend all the trillions of naira that they are supposed to spend on Nigeria's budget that are not spent. They are hoping to bulldoze their way through, but their actions will be cancelled out by somebody like an Atiku in the north. So APC right now will be viewing Atiku as the second most critical threat to the re-election bid of Tinubu. The first most critical is Peter Obi, and of course right now they could not stop him from being on the ballot. So if they cannot take the first threat out, at least they can try to take the second threat out. So I suspect that APC will work behind the scene to make sure that Atiku is not on the ballot for 2027. And I pity people like Senator Ireti Kingibe. It's not like I pity them. These are persons who rode off the back of the popularity of Peter Obi, but all of a sudden they became wiser than the movement and felt that Peter Obi not sabi do the thing, and then sabi pass. So they stayed back. While we were screaming, decamp, 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 they stayed and were forming Mr. and Mrs. Loyal. Okay, let's hope your loyalty to a dying political party pays you off, but your chances are not looking good. And I'm talking about Senators Ireti Kingibe and the others that are still holding on to ADC. The presidential primaries of APC threw up 12 million votes for Tinubu. 12 million. What is the implication of that? I said it before, it is not that 12 million votes is how they are going to rig 2027. It's a prelude. It's just setting out the groundwork, setting out the foundation upon which they will build the rigging machinery. And it's for us to learn. First of all, from the new counting methods that they have invented, it's for us to learn that truly, all Nigerians have to put their hands on deck to stop the coming rigging in 2027. It's not impossible. In fact, it will be very, very easy. All we just need is the numbers. That's all. All we just need is the numbers. But something much more dangerous that we're not even looking at is what has happened in Rivers State with Governor Fubara. First of all, what happened in Rivers State, what happened in Lagos State shows that Godfatherism is a bigger threat than all of us have recognized before now. Godfatherism is a big threat to our democracy. But then here is something else that also slipped under the radar. You guys remember when Fubara went for that screening? We were told that he went inside and then he came out and then he was not happy, he left. Later on, when he got back to Rivers State, he announced that he was withdrawing from the race. Then the next thing, they made him the chairman of the Presidential Primaries Committee. And then he announced that he was doing it because of peace. Apparently, that was a lie. It turns out that the humiliation of Governor Fubara is deeper and more painful than we initially suspected. We were told that Governor Fubara was actually warned not to buy the governorship form for re-election on the platform of the APC. He was warned. Now information is coming out that part of the peace agreement that Tinubu brokered between Fubara and Wike was that Fubara will not seek re-election. That's what we are hearing. Now here is the most painful part. And it's dangerous for our democracy. That's why we must talk about it. When Fubara went for that screening, he was actually bounced. They actually disqualified him. They simply refused to screen him. So it is not that Fubara withdrew. The statement that he withdrew that was accredited to him is just a face-saving measure. He was actually bounced. Let that sink in for a moment. A sitting governor being treated like this. This is what you get when Godfatherism takes over democracy. Two things we are fighting. We are fighting corruption and we are fighting Godfatherism. Nigerians in Lagos, Nigerians in Rivers, Nigerians everywhere rise up against Godfatherism for one reason alone. If people like Fubara, by now he must be regretting. If politicians like Fubara, politicians like Chinda, the one that was in PDP but is loyal to Wike and was given an APC ticket to become the next governor of Rivers State. If politicians like Obafemi Hamzat, politicians like Desmond Elliott, politicians like even Ned Nwoko, and politicians everywhere in Nigeria, if they now see clearly that the only way for them to get re-elected or even get elected in the first place into positions of power is to be loyal to Godfathers, guess what? They will not do things to please the people. They will do things to please the Godfathers. And the more they do that, the more entrenched Godfatherism and Godfather dictatorship will be. And the more the people will suffer. So in our own interest, we must kick against Godfatherism. That is why I'm saying that Sowore should queue behind Peter Obi. Atiku should not waste his time. He's most likely not going to get the ticket of the ADC. He should queue behind Peter Obi. The other candidates, Adebayo, should queue. Then Fubara must now decamp away from APC. Fubara decamp. Fight Godfatherism. The Tinubu that you are supporting today, he fought against Godfatherism. Today he can brag. He prides himself in saying that he was the last man standing that fought against Godfatherism. Fubara, you can do that too. Decamp, that is the only face-saving thing that you can do. Wike, you don't enter a bad book, you don't enter a bad book. The same thing with Tinubu. Godfather like Godfather. A godfather will support a godfather. So, what they have done to Ambode is what they will do to you. If you think that you will remain in the APC and then you will now start doing what they like the errand they sent you on, and you think that somehow maybe they will give you a second chance, they will not. Whether you like it or not, your political career ends with them if you choose to stay. But your political career can still have one hope, no matter how small it is, if you decamp and you fight. I can assure you, Fubara, if you decamp, the people of Rivers State, working on the platform of Vote Watch, will stop rigging in Rivers State, and that will give you an advantage. And that's your only chance. Vote Watch, the campaign is about to start. Together, we will stop rigging in 2027. God bless you for checking out www.votewatch.pro and signing up as a polling unit marshal. God bless you, and God bless Nigeria.